Hi folks, Melvin here. I've had the Digitakt tool for a couple of weeks now, and I figured it would be time for a tutorial. So in this video I'll go over sampling on the Digitakt, and I'll show you some methods to use the different sampling machines like the Grid machine and the Warp algorithms. So let's get started. Alright, so the Digitakt tool is quite new, and at the time of this video there are still some bugs. Although they just released a new OS update, which already squashed a lot of bugs. But there's one that still remains. We can't sample in mono. I know, we've been begging for years to be able to get stereo sampling. And now that we finally have it, we're complaining about recording in mono. But I'm sure they will fix this in an update. But for now I just need to use a cable splitter or a mixer to turn a mono input into two dual mono inputs. Okay, the first thing you need to do is press the samples button. And here you've got two options. You can listen to the input post or pre-mix. If you set it to post mix and you hold down function and press the mod button, you can access the mixer, and on page 5 we've got an input control. So you can adjust the level over there. Alright, so we've got a signal and I can change the recording length. Let's set it to 64 steps, about 8 seconds. But maybe the first thing I actually need to do is to set the tempo. Let's increase it a little bit to 125. I've got two options now. I can start recording when the threshold is exceeded. So it's like a gate, and you can set the threshold right here. And the other way to record is to only record when you press play. In this case, the threshold is more useful. So if I set it around here, I've got a pretty high noise floor at the moment. I've got some fans running in the background. But let's enable ARM and let's record something. To play back the sample, you need to hold down function and press yes. Or hold yes. Yeah, I think I'll record one more take. To delete the take, hold function and press no. And by the way, the input level on the mixer, it's not an input gain. It's only for monitoring. So a monitor gain basically. So you really need to set the levels at your preamp or on your synthesizers. So let's record that again. Arm the track again. Now there's one problem. I didn't activate the click track, so I'm not really playing in time with the tempo. To do that, you need to press the tap tempo button, and here you can activate the metronome. In this case I can also activate a pre-roll, so of 2 bars, and I can increase the volume. And now I can change the record mode from threshold to play, so I get a 2-bar countdown. Now I need to arm the track again, but if I press play, it immediately starts recording. So to activate count in, I need to hold down record and press play. Okay, so we've recorded a loop. We can change the start position and the end position. You can also preview in a loop if you turn encoder D. You can also zoom in, or if you hold down function, zoom in vertically. But I'm not gonna trim anything. I'm just gonna press yes to save this, so I can give it a name. If later I want to add additional recordings, I can copy this name by holding function and pressing copy. And then the next time I'm recording something, I can just paste this. So that saves a lot of typing. But for now, just press yes and it's saved. And now I can immediately assign this to a track. So let's say I'll save it here on track 9. Now the sample is still in the buffer until you hold down function and press no. Now the buffer is cleared. Alright, if we exit the sample menu and go to track 9. Oh, I just need to press record to exit recording mode. But there it is. If you go to the source page, and click that twice, you can see the sample. And right now, if you hold down function and press source, you can change the machine. Right now we're in one-shot mode, but we can change it to Werp. So now we can change the tempo, for example. If I press record and enter a note, now it plays only once, of course. So I need to go to the amplifier page and turn up the release. But of course we recorded 64 steps and I only have 16 steps at the moment. So let's lengthen that. If I hold down function and press page, I can lengthen the entire pattern, or I can just lengthen this pattern only. If I hold down function and press yes, now I can change the length independently for each track. If you hold down function, you can change it per 16 steps, so 64. And I also need to change the pattern reset to 64 as well. So this one is for the pattern, this one for the track. In this case it also copied the steps over, so I'm just gonna delete those. By the way, you can stop all playback by pressing stop twice. In this case I can also change the length of this step by going to trigger, holding the step and changing the length to 64. And then I can just turn down the release so it doesn't play endlessly. But now I can change the tempo. But it's really clicky, as you can hear. So in this case I wouldn't really use this machine, it's more for drum loops. But I would use the stretch algorithm. So you can change the entire pattern length over here. But of course we still get some artifacts, so let's try maybe repitch. Then it works like a turntable. So if you lower the tempo, the pitch will lower as well. But at least now there's no artifacts. But of course the issue then, we can't really change the note. So in this case I'm just gonna go back to machine and keep it at one shot. Go back to the previous tempo. That's why it's important to set the tempo from the start. Okay, so that's working. Let me increase the gain a little bit. So on the amplifier page we've got a volume. And on the source page as well, a level. And we've also got a level knob here. So plenty of options to increase the gain. But let's say I want to cut up this loop. Let me just decrease the pattern length to 32 steps. And there's also a cool mode I can use, and that's actually the grid mode. So in this mode the entire sample is chopped up, depending on this setting right here, the length and the grid. So I can chop it up into 8 parts, 16 parts, 32, 64. But let's make it 32. The length is how long it plays, so how many slices long. So 1 32nd in this case of the entire pattern, or 2, or 4. But let's keep it at 1. I can change the slice. But what's even cooler is I can set it to note. And then if I go to keyboard, I can play these slices with the keyboard. Let me change the keyboard mode. If I hold down function and press keyboard, I can change it to fold back. So it just keeps going instead of acting like black and white keys. It starts in the middle, so I think we need to lower the octave. We can do that by holding down the keyboard mode and pressing the down arrow. So in this case I'll set it to -4. And I'm just gonna record something. In this case I've got a pre-roll of 2 bars. And let me check if the pattern is cleared. No. Alright, so if I hold down record and press play, it will enter live record mode. Right now it's unquantized, but if I hold down record and press play twice, it changes to quantized. So yeah, let me activate keyboard mode and let's play something. Okay, for example. Maybe I can increase the length a little bit. Let me turn off the metronome for a second. Increase the release. Maybe add a little bit of attack. You can even activate the loop mode. And of course we can also adjust the grid right now. Let me add some overdrive. But yeah, I think it works at 32 steps. Okay, cool. Let's record some more sounds. By the way, if you want to save this, just hold down Function and press the cogwheel. Save all patterns and project settings. Yes. Let's record some drums with the Nord. Okay, so I've got a MIDI output connected from the Digitakt to the Nord. And I'm gonna change one of these tracks, track 16 for example, to a MIDI machine. So hold down Function, press Source, and click on MIDI. Okay, now I need to select a MIDI channel. I can do that by holding Function and pressing the encoder. And then you can change the channel. In my case, it's on channel 5. So now I can hear a cowbell. If I go to keyboard mode, the Nord spreads out all the drums to different notes. So 3 or 4 per octave. And the black keys allow you to change the settings. So in this case, I'm first gonna create a MIDI pattern and then I'm gonna sample that. Hold down record and press play. And now I can transpose the keyboard to play more notes. Well, if you ever think the pattern isn't really working, you can hold down Function and press No. This will reload the pattern to the last stored state. So that's why I recommend it to save often. But you can also store a temporary state by holding Function and pressing Yes. So now you can always go back to this state. The only issue right now is that I accidentally removed the MIDI machine as well. So it's not just the notes, also all the settings. Okay, let's try that again. So let me go to the sample page. In this case, I want to set the mode to play. So it will play the MIDI notes and record it at the same time. Of course, I just need to arm it. Now let's record that. I actually don't need to record that long, so right, now I'm gonna trim it, so I can just select the kick drum, zoom in a little bit, like that, and the end, zoom out. Okay, now I can press yes, I can give it a name. Okay, let's copy this so we can reuse it. Right. Let's assign it to track 1. So now I've got a kick, and I accidentally also recorded the hi-hat. But we can always trim it some more. Okay, now let's go back to the sampler. The recording is still in the buffer. So now I can just select the snare. Zoom in. Trim. Like that. Press yes again. Paste the name, function, paste. Well, in this case, hold function and press no to go back and call this snare. Right, let's save that to track 2. And then the hi-hat. Save that to track 3. Okay, now I've got all the sounds, so I can clear the buffer, function and no. Okay, let me quickly create a pattern. And of course, I'm still hearing the MIDI, so I need to clear that pattern. And to clear a pattern, just go to the track, click on record, and then hold function, clear. You need to make sure that you are in record mode, otherwise you will clear the entire pattern. I made that mistake very often. Okay, I also want to add some open hi-hats, but I think I'm just gonna create a pattern with MIDI. And I'm gonna tweak the controls on the Nord, so I'm gonna record a loop. So let's find a hi-hat sound. I added velocity on the Nord, so I believe if I hold down function, press the down arrow, I can change the trigger mode. Let's change it to velocity. Yeah. So now the louder I play, the more the filter opens up. So I'm just gonna record that. Clear the pattern first, function clear. Okay, and then hold record and press play. Alright, now go to sample mode, arm the track. I'll change the length to 64. And I'm just gonna add a 4-bar pre-roll because I need some time to walk over there. Okay, let's record that. I'm just gonna use the entire loop actually. So press yes, right, and let's save that on track 4. Okay, and let me clear the buffer again. Change the trigger type, back to tracks. There it is. Okay, so I'm gonna change the length in this case to 4 bars. Hold function, change the reset mode to 64 as well. And, oh yeah, let me change the length actually. Hold function, and now you can change it to 64. Okay, enter a note. Okay, cool. So now we've got some randomness. Let me turn down the decay. So I actually don't need track 3, I think. Well, yeah, maybe on the offbeat actually. Let's try that. If you add some bit crushing. By the way, a quick tip, if you hold down a trigger, you can change the condition, the trigger condition. And let's say I set this to 1/2. So now it only plays 1 of every 2 bars. So it's a little variation. Alright, let me add some pads. Maybe we can loop this. So select a start point, an end point and a loop point. Oh, maybe reverse. That could be cool. Maybe I can play around with the start position. So parameter locking this one. And let's do it randomly actually. Right, let's record a bass. So I'll start with the rhythm first. I think I'm gonna record a loop now. Okay, mute MIDI track. I'm using a loop because I can easily transpose this. So for example, if I change the pattern length to 64, I just need to enter 1 trigger. And if I change the length to 16, it will play 1 bar. Now I can just change the pitch of this note only. So hold it and tune it down. A third. So that's a lot easier than parameter locking every note on every bar. Now I only need to lock 1 note per bar. Yeah, this one is too late, so I need to change the machine from 1 shot to Werp, for example. Change the length to 1 bar and maybe play around with the segments. And yeah, let me add some effects. Yeah, I can always add some LFOs to maybe this one, the sample rate reduction. By the way, I changed the pattern for the kalimba a little bit. Right, let's add some final effects and then we should be done. Okay, let me add some filter automation to the pad. Let's add some delay to the hi-hat, change the delay time a little bit. Maybe shorten the kick, switch the envelope type to attack hold decay. You can always add some more click with an LFO. For example, if you modulate the pitch. And change the waveform to saw or exponential. And change the trigger mode to trigger. And then of course you need to play around with the speed. So that's a cool trick. Let's add some reverb to the snare. And maybe we can adjust the envelope here as well. If we change the mode to ADSR, let's add a tiny bit of a transient. So you can basically use an envelope like a compressor. We're just reducing the tail a little bit and highlighting the attack. Okay, let's add some more overdrive on the master. A bit less. Let's add some compression. Maybe some sidechain compression. So the whole compressor is triggered by the kick. And then you can exclude the kick from the compressor by holding function, going to filter setup. And I believe it's compressor routing. Yeah, so I'll exclude the kick. And yeah, then of course dial back the mix. Okay, don't forget to save. And by the way, if you hold down track and you turn, for example, the pitch, it's applied to all the tracks. And if you press no, it will go back to the previous value. Or if you break it, you can always press reload. Alright, I hope this helps. I have to say, as a first-time Digitakt user, I'm overly excited by its ease of use. The workflow is extremely quick, and of course, there are still some things to improve, but what I like about Elektron is that they always provide us with free updates in the future. Let me know if you have any questions, and if you want to learn more about hardware, check out my Facebook group, and I'll see you next week with another tutorial.